This is Coop's dad, and this is personal to me. Well, this is Coop's Advice Podcast number 10, and we're here.
Big number 10.
Exactly, number 10, second season, number 10.
Wow.
We're here with Kim and Chris from the Care Coalition from New York.
Hello,
guys.
guys.
From New York.
All the way from the East Coast.
And we also have a special guest and a first on the Coop's Advice Podcast. We have Coop's mom.
Yay. Thank you.
Round of applause.
It's Triva.
So I'm so glad you guys came all the way out here to meet with us and to do this.
Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. I know that your initial introduction to us was through Triva.
Yes.
And actually through Stephanie.
Through Stephanie, yes.
The Harris Project.
Harris Project.
Yeah, so you guys recant that. I'm not that aware of it, and I know our viewers want to hear about it. So tell us how we all got together.
Well, I'm going to let you two tell the story because it really actually starts with you two
Yes.
Yeah.
and Stephanie.
So it all started with an Instagram DM to Triva.
Well,
but a
before
little
that-
backstory about that. Basically, Chris and I have been following, Cooper for a while. And we knew the story and everything that happened. And we were very impacted by it, I would say.
Yes.
And, we just felt horrible, followed you guys for a while, seeing what you guys were doing with the organization after Cooper passed. And we ended up going to a Jaden concert back in March
Yep. In Long Island.
in Long Island, New York.
Yes.
And we went to this concert, and when we were there, we didn't realize going into it that it was a special show that was dedicated to Cooper, because the last time that I guess Jaden had performed at that
Theater.
Cooper was there, and he had performed Tell Me About Tomorrow to Cooper.
Was that when Cooper was upstairs over
Yep.
the railing?
Up on the balcony.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
And-
all over Instagram and stuff. Yeah.
We were sitting the balcony across from that.
Yeah.
So-
Just randomly, we were sitting directly across from where this was happening. And so we went to the concert, and it was dedicated to Cooper, and we were like, this is crazy. Like, what are the odds? The one concert we go to is the one dedicated to Cooper. And your daughter was there as well.
Yeah.
She was
Right across from
directly
Shannon?
across from us.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I had taken videos of your daughter just because it was such an impactful moment with Jaden going up there, and Jaden was crying and she was crying, and I was like, I feel like they would want this video. So I took a video of the moment just from my perspective, which was sitting across from them, and I had sent it to your daughter on Instagram, and it was just like, it was a crazy experience. The coincidence of it was just crazy. So
And we've always felt kind of a very big pull towards Cooper and that whole situation, just given what we do with the Care Coalition. So after the concert, we kind of hung around for a little bit, and we were like, will we see Jaden? Will we not see Jaden? We wanted to show him the video that we had taken. And I remember we waited for 10 minutes, and I said to Kim, I was like, I feel like, we kind of had called it a night, and I was like, I feel like there's going to be another opportunity for this. And we left that night.
Yep. We drove home. Playing Tell Me About Tomorrow on the car ride home. And that song just means a lot to Chris and I in general. That's just a song that we would always send to each other. And it was just beautifully written. And it definitely meant a lot to us. And we drove home. And for some reason, we said on this drive home, I'm so glad we didn't wait. There was people lined up waiting after the show. And we were like, we're going to, we'll get connected one day. There'll be another chance. So we left. And, we went home. Many months later, I hadn't reached out to either of you. Nothing. We just kind of sat with this. And we went to an event that the Care Coalition had. Yep. And Stephanie from the Harris Project is someone that we've worked closely with for years. She was a big supporter of the organization. And, we support her as well with everything that she does. And we're at this event, and we're catching up. We hadn't seen her in a while. And she was talking about a short film that she had filmed. She came out to LA to shoot.
She had just gotten back from filming.
So she's showing us pictures on her phone just of the shoot. She's like, it was an incredible opportunity. And as she's showing us one of the pictures, she said, oh, and Triva Noriega came. She's like, I'm not sure if you would know who her son is. You might be a little bit older. I'm not sure if you know. Her son was Cooper. And Chris and I just looked at each other, and we were like, what are the
literally
odds of
heart
this?
dropped into our stomach. She's like, Chris, that's Cooper. And I was like, what? She's like, it's Cooper. And Kim was like, from TikTok, right? And Stephanie was like, yes. He had, the whole Discord, and she started talking about how she got connected to you. And Kim and I were like, that is so weird. Like, how incredible. We went to Jaden's concert that was dedicated to Cooper. We have followed him and his story for years. And she's like, are you serious? So we ended up showing her those videos that we took at the concert.
That's crazy.
And she was like, this is crazy. All three of us were sitting there. We had
Chills.
full body chills.
And she was like, I'm going to send them to Treva, because I was like, I don't know if her daughter ever saw these videos. I was like, yeah, send them to Treva. She had texted you the videos, and I don't remember what the correspondence was between the two of you. But then, again, days went by, I think weeks went by, and I don't know what pulled me to do it this one day. But one day I was sitting there, and I was like, I'm going to reach out to her. Like, this is all too, coincidental that I was like, there's a reason for all of this. There's a reason that we felt so strongly attached to the story with Cooper, that we went to the concert, that the song meant so much to us, and the whole Stephanie connection, that I said, I'm going to message her. And I remember I just went on Instagram. I typed up this long message pretty much just explaining, the same story that we just told. And I sent it to Treva, and I remember I was like, she's probably not going to answer. Like, I just kind of sent it, not thinking too much of it.
I mean, you get thousands.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And
thousands of messages.
And I sent a long message, so I was like, she's probably not even going to read it. Like, this is like a whole essay that I wrote. And then I remember, pretty instantly, I saw her typing, and I was like, oh. And then
she's seeing this.
Yeah, she saw it. Yeah. And then I would say a little bit later, she sent a note back, and she was just like, this really stuck out to me. She gave me her cell phone number and basically said, I'd love to connect and hear more about all of this. And then from there, we started texting.
And there were also, Parker went to Pace, Kim went to Pace.
And
there
then,
were just
and
these
then
little
we
nuances
then we
that
started,
we continued to uncover.
Yeah.
And we were like, this is too full circle. Like, this has to mean something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
it's
here
meant
we are.
to be.
Yeah, it was
And I
meant
think
to be.
Stephanie, she also told me the story. And I don't know why I sat on it for a while until you reached out.
Yeah.
I probably just wasn't ready.
Right.
Yeah.
So there was a lot. And that was kind of within, how many months ago was that?
We actually just looked on the way here. We were like, I wonder how long this has been in the works. I think it was in October.
Yeah, September, October, yeah.
It was September, October. But again, the concert that we went to was March. This was a long time ago. And from the concert and everything, Chris and I have the Tell Me About Tomorrow sweatshirts that I showed you.
And I text Jaden, and Shannon said, I need this sweatshirt. How come I didn't get one? She's like, we didn't do those.
Yeah,
I need that sweatshirt.
She even told me that. I'm like, ugh, I think I got it on Etsy.
So I got a question for you. Well, first I want to just give you a reflection of this. What I've learned since Coop's passing and through the experiences of the things that we've done is that we're being led by him and the things that we're doing. And it ends up with situations and meeting people and getting involved like this. And when you ask, time goes by, and I don't know how long it went, and I don't know why I sat on it. I've learned that from Cooper that when there are things for us to do and there are things for us not to do, and it's not because they're really not meant for us or it's not the right timing, but all things happen at its right time. And then the doors open up and the connections happen. And then look, we're right here with you guys.
I know.
And so the question I want to ask you is that you guys are about how old? Late 20s?
28.
Yeah,
28.
Both 28.
Yep.
And Cooper's world is roughly, today it's then it was 19 to 21. It's 21 now. So how did you get connected to Cooper? Was it through Jaden's music?
It was.
I think it was, yeah.
It was.
I'm pretty sure. I mean, the first song that I even knew of Jaden was Tell Me About Tomorrow. I hadn't followed Jaden's story, his rise to fame and songwriting. I didn't know anything about him prior to that song. And that was really the song that we heard it. And I remember the first time we sent it to each other. And again, the song just meant so much to Chris and I, because Chris and I we've known each other since we were
decades.
And, we've seen each other through a lot of hardships, and the song just meant so much to us. us because it was like Jaden had written that for Cooper, but there's been so many times that like we've been that person for each other, that when we would send each other that, it was just very powerful. So it was from there, that song, that we even knew who Jaden was and started following his music, and then through that, that's how we got introduced to Cooper.
Yeah, and that song kind of tied very well into the work that we do with the Care Coalition. So we just felt like the overarching theme was there, and then it all kind of just unfolded.
It resonates.
It resonated with us and our organization and everything that we're doing. And that's kind of how we got introduced to Cooper and his story and everything he was doing in the mental health space. And we admired it coming from such a young, a young adult. And it was incredible. And from there, it just kind of carried. It kept going.
So you were following before Cooper's passing?
Yes. Yeah, I will never forget it. I was on a boat in Aruba on a bachelorette party.
Yep. When I was leaving for my best friend's wedding.
And Chris texted me. I still have the text on my phone. Chris texted me and he said, Cooper passed away. And immediately I knew exactly who it was, and I remember exactly where I was, and I saw that message, and I was just like, again, I mentioned this to Treva when I first reached out, that it affected us as if it was someone we knew.
Yes,
and again,
that was the weirdest part.
We don't know. We didn't meet Cooper, unfortunately. I wish we had the opportunity to. We don't know Jaden personally. We don't know any of these people in the mix until meeting you two here today. But for some reason, like it really hit home for us. There was such a pull, and I remember I was on The Bachelorette and I see this text. It ruined my day, and this is someone that I don't even know. And from there, the connection just keep growing. And
I feel like I've heard that so many times, like
from all around the world.
From everywhere.
Literally all around the world. I'm sure. And it still comes to us.
It's always going to.
Wow.
And how he touched so many lives, and how they felt like they knew him. And I think that everyone kind of really did know him. He really let everyone in. And that was...
He was very vulnerable in his social media about his thoughts and his passions and his struggles. But one of the things, and it's interesting, is that even through, like, we had a board meeting last week of the Coop's Advice Foundation, and we're still learning new things about Cooper, what he had done, what he had said, collaborations he's had with other people that were like, we didn't know that you were doing this. And we'll probably continue to learn new things about that. But, and one of those things was, I don't know how he did this, but he responded back to thousands of people. There's people that say, no, he chatted with me on the Discord. He chatted with me on TikTok. He chatted with me on, Snapchat. Like, he responded to my text message, like, really?
Yeah.
Because I know how hard it is with all the hundreds and the thousands you get. And then a lot of this stuff goes away after like a few days.
Right.
And he responded to so many people, and he connected and resonated. I'm surprised that at your age, a little older than his, Gen Z, that it did connect with you. But that's the power of music.
Yes.
And the message of Jaden's music, which is really special.
Right. He has a new song coming out.
I saw that, actually. We were just talking about that.
It's amazing.
I can't wait to hear it.
Like, it is amazing.
Wow. There was one story that I had heard, it goes back to what you were just saying about Cooper touching lives and responding to people, but there was one story that I had heard about Cooper being at, I believe it was a Jaden concert, and there was someone, I believe it was on your podcast, you might have mentioned this, that there was someone in the audience that he saw that was crying. And he went down and he spoke to the person, and I guess they exchanged numbers, and that the person then said to Cooper that, prior to the show, she was planning on committing suicide. And that Cooper took the time to, he sees this person in the audience and exchanges numbers with this person, and then to hear something like that just goes to show the type of person that he was, and the amount that he helped people, and the way that...
And how important it is to continue that on.
How important it is to continue that on. Exactly.
Yeah, he stood beside her during this song, or one of the songs that she loved.
Listened to her, hugged her, talked with her.
And I don't know if it was...
She decided to change her mind.
She changed her mind.
And then remember,
I wish I could get in touch with her.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if she
if
ever
she
hears
this out
podcast.
there,
Yeah.
yeah,
Please.
please reach out to us. We'd love to talk with you.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's so special. I remember Shannon, Jane's manager, they're back in the tour bus, said that she asked Cooper White, well, what happened? You went down there? Because you had to let security get him down there. He tells her the story, but he says, like, hey, I don't want this to come out and be public. This was really personal and private for her. And he was concerned. And it's like, this came out after he passed.
Right.
Wow.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It
You
is.
guys, Care Coalition, there's one unique thing about it that I think everybody should know. And then I'd like you to tell us about what Care Coalition does, how it got started and all that. But the one unique aspect about it is basically in all the other foundations and work that we've been associated or been exposed to dealing with fentanyl or mental health, it seems the really everything other than you guys has all been from parents of other kids who have either struggled or passed away.
Yes.
We've not dealt with anybody that's been actual like youth doing and being involved with it. And so it's unusual to sit across the table from 28-year-olds that are involved with, spreading awareness about, drug abuse and also mental health. Tell us about the Care Coalition and how it got started and your involvement and what you guys are doing.
Yeah, so I can, the organization itself was actually started as a prayer group in our community after there were just numerous losses in our own community in New York, Westchester, New York, where there was just loss after loss, it seemed like, for a while, whether it was suicide, fentanyl, overdoses, just constant tragedy after tragedy. And the group itself actually did start as parents, but at this point, this was before we became a nonprofit. This was before Chris and I even became involved. It was parents that got together after being at numerous funerals, and they were in the church parking lot after what seemed like the 10th one in a row, and they said, what can we do? This has to stop. And that night, one of the ladies that's still involved in our organization had invited the people that she was in the parking lot with to her house and said, let's talk, let's figure something out. So they had gone back to her house and they said, we have to start something, let's do something. And they created the group, the Care Coalition. So I was then brought to an event. One of the events that we still have every year is our annual Candlelight Vigil. And at that event, we honor the lives of people that we've lost due to overdoses, fentanyl, suicide, any mental health related deaths. And what we do is we bring in speakers, and the speakers come, and these are people that have gone through something and came out the other side. So whether it's someone that's they share their testimonies, whether it's someone that's sober, went through depression, went through anything across the board, any type of struggle. We have a group of speakers come, they talk, give hope, and spread awareness. Share, that recovery is possible, and then we do a candle lighting at the end for the people that we lost. And I went to this event in my neighborhood, and it was after I had someone in my life that had committed suicide, and I went to this event, and I didn't know anything about the group at the time, and I went, and I was so moved by the event, and it really hit home for me at the time that I went up to them after and I said, how can I get involved? This is incredible. I think I was crying. I was like, this is beautiful. How can I get involved? I joined the group. And then I was involved for, I would say, 2 years. And then around COVID, you could talk about them when you joined in.
Around COVID, I had moved back home. And I was just kind of looking for something to fill the time, like I'm sure most of us were. And I said to Kim, like, what can we do? And she was like, why don't you just come on the meeting? There was a meeting that day or the day after. Came on the meeting, and it just instantly felt comfortable to me. I felt like it was such a safe space. And keep in mind, like, these were people in our community that we have known forever. Teachers, coaches, you know what I mean? Family, people, friends, family,
town
friends,
officials.
parents, town officials, right. And I just felt a connection to it. So Kim and I decided at that point that we wanted to kind of do something with the group during that period of time. So we started, we put together like a compilation video of people just kind of sending well wishes to frontline workers, because it was at the start of everything with COVID. Just to kind of keep people's mental health intact as much as possible, just to share love, spread the word. And we put this video together, and that was kind of the first project that we did.
That's amazing.
And it went viral overnight, actually.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll
That's
never forget
awesome.
that night. This was the first thing that we had done together for the Care Coalition, and we
looking
put
back
this
now,
video
we're like-
out, and we had no idea what to expect. Like,
What platform was that on?
It was on
YouTube
And
and
Instagram, yeah. And the Instagram at that point was something that her and I had created for the most part, because it was,
it went viral on Instagram with
Yes.
the views and the reels, but it was on YouTube as well.
Right.
And so we put this video out, and then I think that was when we said, we have something here.
Yeah,
Like, we have
that
something
moment.
here.
we were
Even
sitting on her porch.
during
and
COVID, my
during
parents
COVID.
were like, sit far apart,
Yeah,
like
you guys had
literally
to
like
wear your mask.
No,
sitting.
man, we didn't-
I don't think my parents let Chris come in the
Social
house. That's why we were
distancing.
outside.
It was like very much at the start of this.
Yeah.
And we're sitting on the porch. We posted the video, and we were sitting there in real time watching the views just accumulate.
We were,
People
we
started
were like,
sharing.
oh my god, like.
And I remember we got to like 500 views, and we were like, oh my god. And then like we got to 10,000 views. And we
Like,
were like,
yeah.
in real time as this was all happening.
And
this
when
is
we said
real.
this-
Like,
when
this
Yes.
is real.
We were like,
When
wow.
this video came out, though, too, like we didn't have like followers, anything. We put this video out, and we were like, maybe we'll get 100 views. That would be awesome.
And we were really doing
And
it
then
for
we
our
just kept
community.
refreshing.
You know what I mean? Like we wanted to bring back that sense of community, because like it was just such no one knew what was going to happen. There was so much unknown. So we were like, if we could just make people feel like they are connected to one another again. So I remember like we spent 2 weeks before that reaching out to all of our friends, family, like just to asking them to send like a few second clips video, just sending well wishes and giving certain shout outs to people in their lives that might be affected at this point in
Struggling.
time or struggling. And that was kind of the start of it. And we were like, this is something that we have to continue.
And I think that, too, that was the point that I think the group members saw our
Yes.
potential and saw what we were making of the group, and they pretty much were like, take it and run with it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And
like
that's-
you said,
that's
it was all
amazing.
parents. Kim and I there was maybe one or two other of our peers kind of in the same age group as us. But yeah, it was really mostly parents, and we were like, we need to just continue doing
And then
this.
that's when we started launching our own new initiatives with the group. Before
Yeah.
we got involved, it was pretty much just the Candlelight Vigil that they had every year, which was an incredible event. But we were like, let's do more with this. And then
Right.
that's
and then
when
we also did we did a collaboration with a jewelry line, Delicacy Jewelries, and they send a portion of the proceeds that you buy. So all of their jewelry is based around food. So you have like pasta necklaces, earrings,
Oh, that's
bracelets,
cool.
and they
That's
send
cool.
a portion to like homeless, to feed the homeless.
Right.
So we did a collaboration with them, and we ended up raising like over $10,000. I think it was something like that with them.
Yeah,
Right?
and then from there we just kept running with it. We started we did kind of a podcast type of thing. It was called Person of the Month, and it kind of ran off of, the idea came from the vigil, having those speakers, but we were like, let's do this all the time. Let's do this once a month instead of just having speakers come in May. Like, let's get more people involved. So then Chris and I would sit down with people and have interviews, and it would be people that have gone through some sort of struggle. So
All
we had
people in
people
our
with
lives, personal connections. to all
personal
of these
connections with, it was, we had someone with an eating disorder, we had someone that had major depressive disorder, drug addiction, like all across the board, any type of struggle really. We had someone that had a toxic work environment as well. Like we really were like, people go through all different things. Let's
And
shed
everyone's
light on
struggle
everything.
is real to them. And I think
Of
that's the
course,
most
yeah.
important part, is that like the toxic work environment, it's like that's something that someone could look at and be like, why would you let that affect you? But it affects them, and it's real to them,
course.
and that's something that needs to be
You
acknowledged.
don't know until you're walking in their footsteps.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Everybody struggles with something, and
Yeah.
it's real to them. And we don't know. All we can do is be empathetic and
Right.
do what we can offer to do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then that was around the time that we then kept running with it. We registered to become a 501c3 nonprofit, and
Right. And I think that's another important thing to note, is that we kind of we were at a point where we were like, how do we take this to the next level? What can we do to keep pushing forward? And we had spoken to the other group members about registering it as a nonprofit, if it was something that they had ever considered. And at the time, they were like, when we first established the group, it was something that we thought of, but they didn't feel like they had the bandwidth to take on that process of it. So Kim and I were like, why wouldn't we do it? Like, so we discussed it with them, we got the green light, and we're like, let's, we're gonna move forward with this, and we did. And as of last year, it's a registered nonprofit in the state of New York.
The doors have just opened, and the doors have just opened since.
Right. Yeah, we started doing an annual Christmas party where Toy Drive this year was our 3rd year, and we got over 1,500 toys that we donated to kids in foster care in Westchester County.
That's awesome.
So just a ton of different initiatives that we have kind of pushed forward with. The Candlelight Vigil, this was what was this past year? 6th year.
And we do that every year.
Every year. And we had over 100 people show this year from the community.
Wow.
And then we recently, with the board of directors that we brought on when we established it as a nonprofit, we kind of all sat down at a table like this and we were like, what does the direction of the Care Coalition look like? Like, where do we want to move forward? And we kind of came to the conclusion together that it really does start with the youth. You know, it's great to have parents involved and parents supporting this because they have children, but let's start at the nucleus of it. And we decided at that point that we wanted to start implementing programming into schools, have people come to discuss different, struggles that they've been through, and just if anyone can be affected by it, if it can help one person, then it's like we've done our job.
And that's our whole thing with the Care Coalition. Obviously, your organization is on a much wider scale than ours is currently, but I think that's what's so beautiful about what we do and the passion that we have for it, because it really is like if we can impact one person, then that's all we're looking for.
And that's how we feel.
Yeah.
That's exactly
how we feel. That's been the premise from day one.
Exactly.
If we can affect change with one person, it's a success.
Yes.
Yeah. And
God bless us if we can do two.
Exactly. And it seemed like when we first registered and started the nonprofit, we were kind of just saying yes to everything because we were trying to figure out exactly what we wanted to do and where this was going to go.
Right.
So someone was like, you want to get involved with this? Yeah, sure, we'll do it. Like kind of just trying to, do as much good as we could and get our name out there. And then, when we did sit down with our board of directors, we had a meeting and we were trying to figure out the vision. We were like, we need to hyper focus on what we're trying to do. We can't say yes to everything. Like, what is the most important thing that we want to do? And it was getting in front of the schools. So we did a whole pitch presentation to school board officials, and immediately we were brought on board with schools to start implementing programming, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. So currently our main focus right now is with school districts where we're still keeping that whole speaker idea, but we're bringing them into the schools. So we're having someone come into the schools each month. We're doing a program a month where some of the programming's for parents, some of them are for parents and kids together, and some are for kids. And it's really just about getting in front of kids when it really matters, which is in youth. I know that
mostly around mental health.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We also focused more on
Substance
that to mental health, substance abuse. So that's where our focus is right now, and I think it's the most impactful because we all know a lot of issues start in the youth. That's where I know that's where I had issues that began. I know that's where Cooper had issues that had started, and I think that's a common denominator across the board.
It's the core.
It's the core.
We found it to be the core.
Yes.
It's also the underlying issues in dealing with drug abuse and overdoses and poisonings. That's that question of why did you choose to take something?
Right.
Why did you choose to self-medicate? Why did you choose to hide this way and not deal with this when there's other ways you can attempt to manage, concerns of mental health?
Of course.
But the mental health world is a huge challenge in our country, primarily how we need to change how we look at it. It's not. We need to get it to the point where it can be looked at like physical health.
Right.
And it's not looked that way. There's so much stigma with mental health, which causes people to go away from positive and healthy choices to deal with it.
Right. Exactly. And I know that it's like you want to speak about these issues before or as they're being introduced to these kids, because a lot of times I know that when we were growing up, we didn't really understand a lot of it. We didn't know what it was. It wasn't necessarily something that was openly discussed. It was like, what was anxiety? What I mean? What was depression? It was something that you knew about, but it wasn't really explored to that.
And you couldn't put a word to it. You would feel something that didn't feel right, but it wasn't spoken about. Where it's like that could what you're feeling right now, that could be depression. That could be anxiety. You should speak to a professional or hear someone that has gone through this and they're managing their life now. It's like when you're a kid, it just gets so confusing and it gets very difficult.
Then our society's conditioned to like prescribe them something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like, well, wait, you said the key step to take, talk to a professional.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Begin to open up and talk to someone. And it was so insightful that Cooper understood that and started the Discord for other kids to talk. And it seems that Discord has a degree of anonymity, and so some kids feel like they can't open up because people don't know who they are.
Yeah.
But the point is that they're opening up and they're talking, and hopefully not jumping to taking something.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And the
Realizing
Discord
that-
is incredible. I was looking at it recently. There's tons of people on there at all times.
A couple 100,000 total, usually about 8,000 to 9,000 always on it.
It's insane.
And we're trying
over the world.
We're trying
Yeah.
to strategically grow it right now, and to bring more resources and things that it offers, so that we can engage those kids and grow it and expose it more around the world.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's amazing. That's a powerful platform.
Yeah.
Really is.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact that it's all around the world is just the impacts that he had all around the world. It's like we think New York. New York is, it's across the country. We're talking across the globe. Like,
So we've heard from pretty much everybody in the world, except two places, which has been China and North Korea, which is understandably
Yeah.
so. But when I do like Instagram lives or TikTok live, I usually at the very end, end with kind of a liveliness. Okay, like where's everybody from? Because I can see the chat come in. Let me know where you're from. Oh my gosh, the places from all over the world, and then the messages we get, and they're real. They're people
Very
that are
real.
actually from these places.
yeah. I
But-
know. I saw in one of your lives that I was in, you were like, where are you from? I was like, New York, exclamations.
It's Kim.
Yeah, it's me.
And we begin to see recurring fans, I guess you would say, of Cooper.
Yeah.
Some that have sent us
Supporters,
artwork or tributes, or that have been just, I don't know, somehow
And
they
I think that-
they stood out.
And I think that kind of must be so special to you guys, because if you see these people kind of reoccurring, popping up again and again, it means you're doing something right.
They're coming
Whatever
back.
you're doing is working. It's helping them. It's it's encouraging them. So I think that is incredible within itself.
They're spreading the same message.
Yes.
Right.
They're spreading a message about, number one, about fentanyl awareness, and number two, about mental health. Take a look at that. And there's also some extremely creative people creating like video tributes, video edits. Like we just got one yesterday.
That's
From this
amazing.
wonderful girl from Canada. It's the second one she's done.
Wow.
And it's like, you got to send this to me, video. I'm going to put it on the YouTube channel. Then I realized, that was the same gal that did the first one I put on. I mean, this is like
It's like a
pro level
is it-
stuff.
Cooper and Jaden's story.
The story of Jaden and Cooper.
Yeah.
I also
It's
think it's incredible,
amazing.
and I have to just share this. I think it's incredible that you both repost all of these people's stuff. Like, that's how I see all of this artwork. Like, it's so nice that I'm able to see it as well, because I feel like it's just so special that you go through all of these messages, because you're able to see all of these beautiful things that people are creating in tribute to Cooper, and it's amazing that you share them for everyone else as well.
I think that for me, opening up the DMs almost immediately after Cooper passed, they saved me in so many ways. I mean, am I broken? I'm horribly broken. But they all save me so many every day. And these beautiful videos that I get, I'm so grateful for it. And I feel like that these young kids lost a part of their innocence because they knew Cooper. Cooper didn't hide who he was.
No.
He was who he was. He was silly. He had issues. He laid it all out on the line.
He was human.
Yeah.
He was real.
He was
real.
real. And everyone could relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt so compelled to put these videos out and pictures and photos of Cooper that everyone was sending me.
Yeah.
But I just am so grateful. I'm grateful every day.
Yeah, we can't get to all of them. Sometimes
I try.
time interrupts and then they vanish. They're only there for a couple days. But if you're going to make it, and we're going to repost it, as a thanks. At least we can do that.
Right.
And there's some really good stuff. And there's things that we've never seen. There's stuff that people have taken, on their cell phone, or they were at concerts, or they were at an event, or they happened to be walking by, and it's like, it's pretty insane. It's pretty crazy.
Is there ever a time though that you feel like you need to just like log off and take a break from it?
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
Especially after his heavenly birthday. Like we were out of town, thank God, at a wedding. And I just couldn't, I just needed a break.
Disconnect.
Yeah.
I needed to disconnect for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's things that happen that are too much, and you do need a break. And it's not from them. It's a break from the grief.
Yeah.
And it's like, I gotta take care of our mental health, because it gets to the point where it's imbalanced, and you gotta keep yourself in check.
Exactly.
And there's a lot of different things that trigger it. It's typically around those anniversaries, and now we have there's a federal prosecution case. And so when we get these messages and there's events, they trigger. We're doing, yesterday began the production of the Cooper Noriega documentary.
Yeah, we saw that.
So now it's
We reposted it.
We did repost
thank
it.
you.
Coalition, yeah.
So now you're picking the scab back up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I shared with Treva when she came home yesterday, when we were still there filming, and I talked about this, that my interview portion was going back to like Cooper's early days as a kid and growing up, and then leading up to the event of his passing. And I realized, you have to talk to Treva about this. She's going to have more detail. It's foggy for me. But it was because it was a defense mechanism. I've kind of blocked a lot of that because I can't survive it. It's too hard.
Right.
So I saw that. Why is it so cloudy? Why is it so murky? And it's like, because it's like the hole, this fire. It's like, okay, now I understand that. I can approach it differently, but that's what was clouding my memory.
Right.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
Yeah. I'm sure.
When is
hard.
the documentary coming out? We don't know yet.
Well, if it can get done, it will be, the target is to be ready for the film festival season for 24.
Okay.
But I think it's going to go to the film festival season of 25.
Okay.
Because there's so many people to be interviewed, and everybody's got dynamic schedules. We have artists and influencers and students and people living all over the place. And then it starts to evolve on its own.
Right. Takes a life of its own.
But it'll be, what I can say is this, it's going to be a documentary about who he was, what he did, what he left, and the effect. And that effect keeps evolving and changing.
The ripple effect.
You mentioned
really
something
is.
earlier, and this is the second time it's happened. You did an Instagram Live with Happy Jack's mom several months ago. And then I think it was a week or so ago,
Yeah.
I did an Instagram Live with Happy Jack's dad.
Yes.
And now we're with you. It seems like
The
two coasts are coming together.
Yeah, it's pretty
They've got,
amazing. And with Stephanie,
we're surrounding the country.
Yes.
put her in that.
You know?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, but I feel like it's like we're meant to create this a real border around the country
Yeah.
of love and protection and education. This is the
awareness,
minefield,
yeah.
our
Yep.
country,
Yep.
and we are in triage, trying to save and help other kids avoid from dying from fentanyl.
Right.
That's one of our main things. And then there's the mental health part.
Right.
But it seems like, okay, now we're attacking this from West Coast to East Coast, right?
It's just a couple miles. There's a couple hundred miles away, but it's the same issues on both sides.
Right.
And it's not getting any better.
It's not
No.
getting any
No.
better. So we just gotta
Also,
keep fighting
just
harder.
to point out, speaking of fentanyl, also at that Jaden concert that we had gone to, that was the first time that we were introduced to end overdose as well.
Yes.
So that was really cool. That was
And
the
that
first
was-
time that we
Yep.
even heard of them and
Right.
knew what they had going on, and
And
that's
that
the
was
first
something
time
that touched us, and we actually introduced that into our candlelight vigil this past year.
Yeah, we had a Narcan training for the
amazing.
first
Yeah,
time at the
we had a
vigil
Narcan
because
training.
of a couple
And-
months before
Yep.
we got the Narcan at that event. And we were like, this is incredible that we have it, but we were like, everyone else needs to have this too.
Or be aware.
And be aware that there is this out there. So we had a whole Narcan training at the vigil this year, and we
yeah.
had the handouts as well. And I actually got put in touch with some people over at End Overdose. So again, it's just all these worlds colliding.
That was Cooper's doing.
Yes.
Yeah, he reached
Yes.
out to them before he passed and set it up and wanted to support them. And we didn't know about it until we heard from his close friends. And when the foundation got started, we said, well, part of our our purpose is to continue to support End Overdose. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
Zedge, our producer, is from End Overdose.
Yes.
He's
That's
the
awesome.
magic man behind the cameras. What is it like where you are on the East Coast with fentanyl? What's it like there?
I think it's the same.
It's
Really?
It's the same. And it doesn't seem like it's getting any better. Like, it might not be people in our direct circle, but I feel like every time I open up Instagram or I see
on the way here.
on the way here, we saw that someone else had passed away and
We knew
from
had
our
struggled. Yeah.
community, and it seems like it's not getting any better. And it's such a shame, and it's just real change needs to happen.
Is there any type of community outcry that you see requesting, from a political standpoint to secure the border or make changes or stricter laws or anything of that sort? Do you hear any of that in New York?
Yeah, I mean,
There's always discussions.
yeah.
But I feel like it has to get to a place where there's action as well.
Right.
And I think that's the most important part. It's like people can say all these things, but I feel like there needs to be action taken.
You're not seeing the action.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
Not
feel
in the
like
way
Jelly Roll got in.
Yes.
Did you see
that?
that?
Was amazing.
That was awesome.
That was amazing.
Oh my God, that was
and
that was
and
awesome.
the way he compared the fentanyl deaths to a plane crash every day.
Yes.
is so profound.
Yes.
That was
And
incredible.
I think that
No,
if,
we want.
if the administration and people higher up don't associate fentanyl with a plane crash, I mean,
Every day.
every
Every
single
day.
day.
Yeah.
I mean, if they did, they would do something about it.
And isn't that wild?
Like a door pops
mean, a
open
door-
and they're grounding planes and it's all over the news.
16,000
Oh, yeah.
feet.
Right.
Yeah, no one gets injured. No
No.
one's, yeah,
I know.
There would be no planes flying if there was.
that is right.
You're
know?
correct.
We
the
wouldn't be
entire
here.
U.S.
And I
airspace
think
would be
he
shut
said
down.
there were
Yeah.
like 170 people a day, but I think there's like 350.
It's a little over 300 a day.
Wow.
It's getting down to every 7 minutes someone's dying from this now. And 2022 going into 23, it was 6 out of 10 of anything taken out there that was illicit, non-pharmaceutical, non-dispensary, had a lethal dose of fentanyl. Now it's 7 out of 10. So if you think about that, if you guys came here today from Temecula, and if you were told, hey, we're going to do this podcast, come up to the Newport Beach and do it, but you got a 70% chance that you're going to die in a fatal car crash.
Right.
Would you get in the car?
No.
Wait,
I love you guys, but
No, no.
But we're not coming.
But you
We
get
ain't
in an
coming.
airplane, a commercial airplane, knowing that one is going to crash every day with roughly about 200 to 300 people.
no.
No, you'd be like, wait, somebody's got to fix this. COVID was a response. This requires a greater response.
Greater response.
More people have died
More.
from fentanyl than died from COVID.
COVID. And so we're trying
And
to.
the numbers are just continuing to rise.
And we're trying to, when we talk about spreading awareness, what we're trying to tell kids and people is we're not telling them don't do drugs. We're just saying, I want you aware of what your landscape's like. Is that if you take this stuff, anything out there, cocaine, Molly, X, Percocet, Adderall, fake gummies, fake vape cartridges, you have a 70% chance that you're going to die. It's not a matter of if, it's when. As long as you know that, maybe you'll reconsider your decisions. We know that people addicted to drugs, the addiction makes you have a a lapse in judgment. It compromises your judgment. And so we understand that goes with it. But there's kids that are dying, like Coop, that didn't need to die. And it's happening every day. And you see what happens. There was ketamine and cocaine and fentanyl. There was an opiate and fentanyl. There was this and fentanyl. It's like, when you see the other things, there's no death.
Right.
Yeah.
So as long as you know about this, then maybe you'll make a different decision. And then we can, on a like, tell me about tomorrow. We can talk about your mental health and like maybe do some things to get you to someone that can maybe start digging deeper and correcting this and get to a healthy state.
Yes.
The craziest thing too with the fentanyl is how small amounts of it that can kill you. Like with Cooper, wasn't it a grain of sand? That's the size.
Very small.
Like, and that's just what's so scary, first of all. But I think it goes back as well to, yes, these kids are going to know that they have this percentage of dying if they continue to do these drugs. However, it goes back to the whole mental health component as well, because sometimes you're too far in that it's not that easy to just say, I know I'm going to die if I continue to do this. You know that I could die if I continue to do this. So it goes back to, we have to figure out, get back to the beginning.
The root of it.
Get back to the mental health issues. And you have to work on all of that, Sometimes it's not as easy as just, I'm going to decide to not do this drug today. Sometimes people are too deep into that they need treatment and they need, more than just
it's
a
a
conscious
sickness,
decision.
like it is.
It is.
Well, and also,
I love that film that the Harris Project did. I think
Yes.
it's just done so beautifully well.
Unbelievable.
And
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what, 4 minutes long?
Yeah.
And it's
Little short film.
how did
unbelievable.
you
If
get
I-
connected with Stephanie and Harris Project?
Yeah, I don't know if I even know this story.
I don't know if I do either.
Stephanie from New York, right?
Yeah, Stephanie's from New
Stephanie
York.
reached out to me, I think after Cooper passed, right after. And she had been, same thing, been
Yes.
watching him for years and was just like one of his biggest fans. And she just felt like, he got it at such a young age.
Right.
And when he passed, she just felt like it was like her own child. And so she emailed me, and for some reason, I got on my computer one day, which I don't ever look at my emails. I have so many emails. Don't ever email me. Ever.
Shopping emails, everybody. From
Your
shopping
Order has been
emails.
processed.
Anyway, so I thought, well, I wonder if there's any old pictures of Cooper on my computer or in an email that someone sent me. So I started looking, and at the very bottom, there's an email from Stephanie.
Wow.
I'm like, what is this? So it came around like after Cooper's death, and she explained who she was, and I don't remember the whole email, but I ended up just like,
You felt compelled to.
I immediately like emailed her. I think I've made so many mistakes. Like, here's my phone number, call me. And then I ended up texting her because she left me her number, and she happened to be in LA doing the TED.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, the
Yes.
TED
Yeah.
Talk.
The TED Talk.
Right.
Which also
And
was
she was
great.
actually had just finished and on her way to the airport, or she was just getting on stage. I can't remember.
Wow.
And
what
then she
timing
got
that is.
my text, and she said, "Oh, this is, we were finally meant to
Yes.
Yeah.
Connect. Yep.
And
It never misses.
And also just
Yeah,
as
it
another
was
mother
amazing.
that's gone through it, because
Yeah.
she had lost her own son Harris, unfortunately. So so also so important to build those communities as well of people that have gone through similar struggles too. I think that's like very impactful, because I'm sure you could talk about the emotions that you're feeling, but it's different to talk to someone that's also felt
Experienced
them, experienced it.
They're the only people that can understand.
Right.
and it's for women. Like, I have a group of women that have lost their children, and for men, it's harder. Harold doesn't have that kind of community where I
Men
do.
don't talk.
Yeah.
Men
Right.
don't talk.
And I think,
Yep.
too, with going back to Care Coalition, I thought that was what was so incredible about Chris joining the group as well, because I think having a man's perspective and having a man that comes into an organization that is breaking down the stigma around mental health, like, I think women have done a good job of doing that over the years, but I still think there's somewhat of a disconnect when it comes to men speaking out about mental health.
Oh, huge.
So I think that him joining was incredible for just that whole component as well, and kind of took it to, a different level in that way too.
Yeah. I mean, we did have, other members of the group who were, males in our community who they were adults, and they were coming from it from a different perspective.
From a parent,
right, that wanted to protect their children and the young ones in the community. I feel like I see it day to day, with my friends and my community and my peers, and it's like, for some reason, I feel like it is just so important. And my friends and I have a very, very, Kim and I both, we have a very, very good group of friends, and I feel like it is so important to have those conversations and break down those walls. And it's like, everybody you meet is going through something that you have no idea about.
Right.
And I feel like in order to really connect with them, you have to go there.
You have to go to that level.
You do. It's harder for children. What we've learned is they will tell you about 99% of everything, but they won't tell you the 1% of which they believe is going to disappoint you or hurt you, or they'll be ashamed of. So they don't talk about it. And that's usually the piece is the one that's,
most important.
The most important, the most hurtful to them. But they'll tell somebody else.
Right.
That's why the Discord's been so successful, because they've opened up at a place like that. But on some of the past podcasts we've done, I've been some would say maybe I've been more open about certain things that I've experienced. But I also feel that, I guess you could say that, but if I do it because I feel that it's necessary to have the example to other men and to other kids that, hey, look, I'm living the dream. I'm living this life. I will be open and vulnerable and share the horrible thoughts, the thoughts of suicide, the thoughts of grief and shame and guilt and all that, because I'm human, and maybe you will.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of my perspective on it too. It's like, I have dealt with depression, I have struggled with anxiety, but I'm still here. I'm willing to talk about it, and I'm willing to do the work to kind of get to the root of it. And I feel like that is the overarching message that I want everyone to understand, is that there is a way out. There is a light at the end of the tunnel, even when you feel like there's not.
Here we are, and we're changing lives, and we've gone through it. So someone that is going through it, that's all we want them to know, is that you can do this too. Like, you can come out on the other side. Everyone struggles, some people more than others, of course, but there can be a light at the end of the tunnel if you put the work in. And it's also just important for people to know that everyone's worthy of coming out on the other side. Right. I think that's where it gets tricky when you're in the midst of depressive thoughts and suicidal thoughts and things like that, is you might be able to see someone that's come out the other side, but you think that it'll never be me. I'm not worth that, because when you're in the middle of it, it's really hard. But that's why you need to have these conversations, because
and build this community of support, friends, real friends, family who want that for you.
It's very rare to see it from youth.
Yeah.
You guys are special. Yeah, I mean, you don't see it from kids this young. I mean, you're young adults, you're not kids. But you're kids to me.
We're pushing 30.
I'm an old guy.
Do that.
I could be like your grandfather.
But
But
28,
We're
which
28.
is our favorite number.
and our daughter,
There you go.
Yes. Isn't there some thing with 28 with Cooper, and is it Jaden as well?
And Quentin,
Quentin.
the three of them.
Okay, that's awesome.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Another coincidence.
Do you want to explain it, what it is?
So they just, I don't really know how to explain it, except one day they just thought, okay, we're gonna do something that's gonna be above like the 27, like we're gonna survive the 27
Have
number.
you heard of the 27 Club?
The 27 Club.
27
Of all
So-
the musicians
Yeah.
Yeah,
that have passed away,
Yep, at
27.
27.
Jimi Hendrix,
Yep.
Jim Morrison.
So they thought of the 28 Club.
The 28 Club,
Yeah,
making
so-
it through 27.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love that.
So our goal is, in our immediate world of all these kids that were close to Cooper, we don't want to lose another one.
No,
And we've been, it's
not one.
been dicey and touch and go with a few.
Wow.
I'm sure.
How is the group doing? It seems like, from an outsider looking in, I saw the photo, was it the end overdose pictures that you took on the beach with his whole crew of friends, and it seems like he had such a good group and such a strong knit community around him. But I mean, I can only imagine how difficult this has been on them for a while. How is everyone coping with it?
That's a good
I think
question.
everyone as you know, handles grief differently.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I know that it's been a struggle
Yeah.
and a lot of heartache and sadness, and we're all still trying to figure out how to move on, and and I think everybody's doing the best they can.
Yeah.
So.
And I think that's another thing, right? It's that, like, Kim and I have been blessed with, the best family and friends, and it's like we still have experienced our own struggles, and it's like when you're in that place, you can't really see outside of it. You know what I mean? You have these people who love you, who always want the best for you, who are rooting for you, but it's like something inside your mind distorts that. And I feel like that's one thing that I'm so passionate about. I know that Kim is as well, is just always being there for someone, because however they need you to be, you know what I mean? And that doesn't look the same in every relationship and every friendship and every, relationship with the family member. It's like certain people need different things. And I think just being aware of that and understanding that is, it goes a long way.
And I think that with our own friendship, like, we've been that voice for each other. Like, we've always connected on a deep level where we were facilitating those conversations for each other when each other were struggling through things. And again, why Tell Me About Tomorrow meant so much to us is because we've done that for each other and saw the progress in each other. That's why we want to do that for other people as well. That's why we want to stress the fact that, like, you should be having these difficult conversations, and you should be addressing things, and you should be calling out your friend if you see that something's up, you know? You shouldn't ignore it. You should be able to facilitate those difficult conversations, because they go such a long way, and we're living proof that they go a long way.
Right.
Yeah. It's just, for me, it's mind-blowing to see you guys doing this at your age. It's so, I don't want to say mature, but it's so forward-thinking. But I think your generation is a lot more empathetic and more open.
Yes.
And less restrictive as we grew up with, like, certain ways to be. And
it's funny that you say that. I feel like even our parents, just having them see the stuff that we've done over the last couple of years, they've just come around and they've seen all of this from a totally different perspective that they just were not aware of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it wasn't that they didn't support it. It wasn't that they didn't like it. It was that they didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think
we
that...
also have the old school Italian in them as well. So.
Right?
Yeah.
Just that, but you're right, just that generation, they've never looked at it from that point of view. You know what I mean? So I feel like them seeing us do it in the way that we're doing it, it's just opened their mind to, like, wow, like, this is, and it's just like, it's nice to see them kind of supporting that,
so
rallying around that, and being proud of that.
You should be very proud of what you're doing. You guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
You are impacting change. You are reaching and connecting to people.
We hope so. Again, even if it's one person.
One person, yeah.
What do you have for your group planned for the future? What do you have on the boards coming for the rest of the year?
So we actually met with our board recently as well to kind of talk through all of that. And I think moving forward, right now it's around the schools. So we're going to be trying to get our programming into different districts and expanding our outreach in that way. And already we're prepping for our next vigil. It just keeps growing. We had to move spaces last year because the crowd got too big, and we have to start planning the speakers for that and taking on different projects.
We need to go.
I was going to say, if you need a speaker,
Yeah, exactly.
Treva speaks really well in public.
Treva, I'll stand right next to you.
Oh, we get so nervous when we speak in
We
public
do.
too. And it's the type of thing that I'm sure it's the exact same for you. You probably get so nervous before, and then after it, people are like, "You didn't look nervous at all." Like, you get stage fright. I'm like, I always get stage fright. Like, even
I
coming.
need Sedge there to give me lines to read.
Well, it's
those
so funny.
Teleprompter things, right?
We always, whenever I write things down, like even for our Christmas party, we had to like make a speech about it, and I always write things down, and then it's always like when we go up there, like the paper doesn't even come out; it just comes out naturally once I'm up there. But I do feel like I black out. I'm like, I don't even remember what I said right after. I'm like,
no, we've had some really great people come, and I think back to like having a man's perspective on it. Last year at the vigil, we had our friend Jimmy Drago. He's an MMA fighter now. He went through his own struggles with substance abuse, and he shared his story last year at the vigil, and it was the most incredible, impactful story that we
he's
have
someone
heard.
that went from a terrible drug addiction to becoming a professional MMA fighter.
Right.
And like just the two, like you would
his
story is just incredible. But
Matt Bocci was another one.
We had someone else we interviewed that lost their father in 9/11, went down a path of substance abuse after that. He also experienced sexual abuse, and seeing someone like that speak, someone that went through issues across the board, it can, even if you haven't lost your dad in 9/11, or even if you don't have
He wrote a book about it all.
He wrote a book about it all. It's called Sway. It's incredible.
It's unbelievable. So just having, these strong, male voices and perspectives come forward and, be courageous enough to stand up there and tell their story and how they overcame it. It really means everything.
We have on our board as well, we wanted to have another strong man join the board, and we have James Carlin, who is a Army veteran, and he went through a lot of mental health issues.
Right.
After
PTSD.
And he had major depressive disorder, and he also wrote a book about it. It's called Conversations with the Desperate Man, and he's on our board now too. So it's getting all of these group of men together too.
Just the network just keeps growing and growing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you guys fundraise how for your organization?
Go ahead.
So we do it. The Christmas party that we host is our big fundraising event.
People pay to come to attend.
Yep, to attend. They'll do donations. We have people who have graciously donated very nice raffle gifts as well. So we fundraise that way, and then we just are open to donations. We're kind of
we don't ask, but we're always gonna accept.
I think with the nonprofit component just kind of being integrated in, it's still something that we're constantly day-to-day refining. We're like, okay, what does this look like next? Because it's like...
It's all trial and error.
Yeah,
we've never done this before.
That's the thing, and I feel like that is...
Same with us.
Right, exactly. And I think that is also so important. Like, we don't know what we're doing a lot of the times. You know what I mean? But we're just doing it. We step into it. We stand on it.
See if it works. And if it works,
exactly.
then we'll continue to do it.
Even the nonprofit process. Like, Chris and I were meeting with, like, lawyers and accountants, and we're like, we don't know what we're talking about. So you need to tell us what to do and what we're like.
But we really have been very grateful for everyone who has kind of helped us along the way. We've had, great support. Like I said, great network of people that we've kind of developed over the last couple of years who have really been there to kind of, guide us through a lot of this, and just never stop. I feel like the one thing that I always try and live by is there are such good things out there that you don't even know to ask for them.
Right.
And I feel like that's the one thing that we always want to keep in the front of our mind is that it's out there. You just have to go for it. Even if you don't know how you're going to get it or get there, it will unfold as you're doing it. If it's meant for you, it's never going to miss.
That's good. That's interesting because I've been thinking about that lately because we don't fundraise. We sell merchandise every quarter because it kind of started that Cooper wanted to support End Overdose.
Right.
Then we said, hey, there's one way we can, because Jane and Nessa and that group, they do tour merchandise to help supplement. It's like, okay, they're already doing it. They suggested it. And then it seems that the things that we're doing, like the pods and the other season 2 of Vulnerable, and the associations of doing collaborations and supporting other platforms, people just donate.
Right.
But a lot of the donations we get are like a $2. A $5, a $1.
That's so
They're
sweet.
kids.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like,
yes.
Those are the most endearing ones,
right?
Because those, they're,
that's
the only money they have.
The intention behind it is so pure.
Yeah, I would get a message that says, "Oh, I wanted to buy a T-shirt, but I couldn't afford it, but I made a $2 donation, so." Well, we just sent them a T-shirt. Send me your stuff. It's like, I know this is good. You're going to spread them out. Just like, thank you. Just take care of you. And do that.
Yeah.
We're exploring new things to do as well to see, because the new ventures we're getting, it obviously costs money.
Of course.
Right. But if it goes to continuing to help save lives, then I just believe God has a hand on it.
Exactly.
And this is what he wants. And this is what Coop wants. And so that's it. That's our job. We're going to do it.
Yeah. And it's all like part of the plan. Like,
it's all part of the plan.
And that's what we always try and think about this whole thing too, is, even going through our own struggles, and, sometimes it's easy to feel bad for yourself, but you have to think that this was all part of God's plan. Like, here we are, and, might have taken a long or a hard road to get here, but here we are, and we're impacting change, and it's all for a reason. And even, your whole organization, the amount of lives that you're changing, it's incredible. And this is Cooper's legacy, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very blessed, and we're very lucky.
We are lucky.
We talk about this often. In our situation, there's so many parents that lose their child, their loved one. They lay them to rest, and then they have to move forward, and that's it. And then they have the anniversaries and all those things. But Cooper left us with things to do. Yeah. And it's getting other people to do things. It's connecting with you, right. Connecting with people around the world. And so it's like we're thankful that we have a job to do. Right. Like you guys, in addition to the stuff that we have to do in our regular lives. Yeah. Like I look at you at 28. I mean, you guys have careers, you have jobs, you've got to provide for yourself. What you're talking about, well, we have a little bit of an interim period right now, intermission, but you do. It's like what you're talking about is full time.
Yeah.
In addition to your own life.
No, it's true.
In addition to a personal life, in addition to everything else,
and going on monster.com now.
Or Indeed.
So again, but it's our passion. Like it never feels like work, and that's what we always say is. Right. If this was my full-time job, I could work 80 hours a week, like whatever it might be, because this doesn't feel like work to me. This is my passion. This is what I'm meant to do.
It drives us. It motivates us.
Yeah.
Did you ever think this is what you're going to be doing?
So I studied psychology in college when I went to Pace University. So I knew from a young age that I always wanted to do something to help people. I was a psychology major. I had planned on going down the route of like a mental health counselor in some way. But I also think that at the time that I was in college was a period in my life that I was really struggling. So I didn't think that I was going to be equipped to help other people when I hadn't really felt like I had fully helped myself yet. So then I had gone the business route, and I said, I knew that I was going to help people someday, even if I didn't go that path. And here I am. I went down a different path professionally, but I was able to incorporate my passion project into my everyday life. So
you were at Pace when Parker was there.
Yeah. So I graduated Pace in 2017.
She was in 19.
2019 was. Yeah.
So she went all 4 years there.
Wow. What did she study?
Business.
Business marketing.
Yeah, business marketing. And she was always into
now she's
fashion.
A stylist.
Is she?
She was always studying fashion at the department stores,
Yeah.
with a credit card.
just another, weird coincidence, Like Pace
all
University.
These years later it comes together.
Right?
I think Pace is such an amazing
a great school.
Yeah. Was she in the New York City campus?
Yes.
There's a New York City campus, and then there was a Westchester campus as well.
But the Westchester's more law, right?
There's two Westchester campuses, actually. Okay. There is one campus that's specifically the law school. I believe that's in White Plains. And then there's one in Pleasantville, which is also in Westchester County. That is, I think, all majors. They're big on nursing there. And but that's
Were you in the city?
I primarily went to the Westchester campus.
Okay, gotcha, yeah. She was in FIDI.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I used to live down there, not too far from FIDI. I know exactly where the school is and everything. Did she like it down there?
She loved it.
She loved it. She's still really close with her college friends.
Really?
Oh,
Are they all in New York?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're all on the East Coast, yeah.
Yeah. Well, next time she's in town or you guys are in town, we'll all have to
oh, yeah, you got to connect with her.
Yeah.
And Misu.
Yes.
That's the dog, right?
The dog.
Let me ask this so we can and kind of wrap things up.
Yeah.
Is a couple things. One is there a message that you'd like to give to our listeners about what you're doing or anything, or to the listeners?
I think our bracelet kind of says it all. Love never gives up.
I love that.
That's our motto. Love never gives up. Connecting those in need, those who care. And I think that's really the message that we're trying to get across, is that people do care. You just have to make those connections, and we're here to make those connections for you and to be that person that cares. And I think the other message is just going back to the whole, you're worthy of getting help. There's people that have gone through it and come out the other side, and everyone's worthy of that chance, and you just have to ask for it. It goes back to asking for it,
Yeah. Well, you can find Kim and Chris at the Care Coalition on Instagram.
Yep,
Yes.
Care Coalition.
And you can also find them on lovenevergivesup.com.
Yes.
And if you Google search Care Coalition, it'll
Yes.
get to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But lovenevergivesup.com, and you can participate, make some donations to the cause,
Always welcome.
right? And I'm so thankful that you guys came all the way from New York.
Yes.
And you're here with us.
Beyond.
We're here with you.
And we got
couldn't
Coop's mother of millions. as she
Yes,
says.
mother of millions. I said to,
Now
I
mother to
actually,
two more.
I said to Chris coming here, I was like, I feel like Treva's like my mom, and I don't even know her.
I get that all the time, and I feel very honored.
Yeah, no, I said,
And
I was
all
like, I
these
haven't
kids.
even met her yet, and I feel so connected to her. Like, I was like, I feel like she's like my mom.
Oh, thank you.
I know, it's just so special. You're such a
You
special
got two
person.
more to take under your wing now.
I love
Don't
it.
worry. She
There's
will.
plenty of room in here.
Room for all of us.
Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And for more information, please follow us at the Coops Advice Foundation.org.